Mark, is that a new chessboard? It is absolutely beautiful. The wooden pieces are so detailed.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, it was a birthday gift. I have always loved playing chess. It is such a relaxing and challenging game at the same time.
I have always wanted to learn how to play. I see people playing in parks and cafes, and they always look so focused. The game seems very complex and intelligent. To be honest, it looks a little intimidating.
It can seem intimidating from the outside, but the basic rules are actually quite simple to learn. The real complexity comes later, with strategy. Would you like me to teach you the basics right now? We have some time.
Really? Would you do that? I would love that. I have a completely free afternoon. I have always thought it was a game I could never understand, but I am willing to try if you are willing to teach me.
Of course, I would be happy to. Teaching someone is a great way to enjoy the game. Let's start by setting up the board. The first thing to remember is the bottom right square for each player should be a light-colored square, so white on the right.
White on the right. Okay, that is an easy rule to remember. I have the board positioned correctly then. Now, what about all these different pieces? There are so many of them.
There are 6 different types of pieces. Let's set up your side first, the white pieces. The second row from you is for your 8 pawns. They are the smallest pieces. Just place them all in a line on the second row.
Okay, all 8 pawns are on the second row. They look like a little army of soldiers ready to protect the other pieces. What comes next? The back row?
Exactly. The back row is for your more powerful pieces. Place the rooks, which look like castle towers, on the 2 corner squares. Next to them, on the inside, place the knights, which look like horses, and next to the knights, place the bishops.
Okay, so from the outside in, it is rook, knight, bishop. I have 2 empty squares left in the middle of the back row. These are for the king and queen, right?
That is correct. This is another important rule. The queen always goes on her own color. Your queen is a white piece, so she goes on the remaining white square. The king then goes on the last empty square, which will be a dark one.
The queen on her color. That makes sense. Okay, my side of the board is completely set up. It looks very official. Now, how do all of these pieces move? Let's start with the little soldiers, the pawns.
The pawns are the heart of the game. They are simple but very important. On its first move, a pawn can move forward either 1 square or 2 squares. It is your choice. After its first move, however, it can only move forward 1 square at a time.
Okay, so 1 or 2 squares for the first move, and then only 1 square after that. And they can only move forward, never backward. What about capturing other pieces? How do they do that?
This is the interesting part about pawns. They move forward, but they capture diagonally. 1 square forward and to the side. So if my piece is diagonally in front of your pawn, you can capture it and move your pawn to that square.
So they move straight, but attack sideways. That is a bit tricky. I will have to remember that. What about the rooks, the castle towers in the corners? How do they move?
The rooks are powerful and very easy to understand. A rook can move any number of empty squares, but only in a straight line. It can go forward, backward, left or right as far as it wants until it hits another piece.
A straight line any number of squares. That is simple enough. Now, what about the knights, the horses? They look like they would move in a special way.
They certainly do. The knight is the trickiest piece for beginners. It moves in an L shape. You can think of it as two squares in one direction and then one square to the side. So, two forward and one left, or two right and one back. It is always a combination of 2 and 1.
An L shape. Two squares and then one. I see. And can the knight jump over other pieces? It looks like a horse, so it feels like it should be able to jump.
Exactly. That is the knight's special ability. It is the only piece on the board that can jump over other pieces, both your own and your opponent's. This makes the knight very useful, especially at the beginning of the game when the board is crowded.
That is a very cool skill, a jumping horse. I think the knight might be my favorite piece so far. Now, what about the bishops? They are next to the knights.
The bishops move diagonally. Like the rook, a bishop can move any number of empty squares, but only on the diagonal lines. You will notice you have one bishop on a light square and one on a dark square. They will stay on those color squares for the entire game.
Oh, that makes sense. So the light squared bishop can never move to a dark square. It can only travel on the light diagonals. That is an interesting limitation.
It is. It means your two bishops work as a team to cover the whole board. Now for the most powerful piece on the board, the queen. The queen is amazing. Her move is a combination of the rook and the bishop.
A combination of both? So does that mean she can move any number of empty squares in a straight line, forward, backward, left, and right, and also any number of empty squares diagonally?
You've got it perfectly. She is incredibly powerful and valuable. You have to be very careful with your queen because losing her is a big disadvantage. She is the star player on your team.
Wow, the queen is a superstar. I will be sure to protect her. That just leaves one piece left to learn, the king. He looks very important, but I have a feeling he is not very powerful.
You are right again. The king is the most important piece, but he is also one of the weakest. The king can only move one single square in any direction, forward, backward, sideways, or diagonally. Just one step at a time.
Only one square. He is very slow. You said he is the most important piece? Why is that? Is it because the goal of the game is to capture the other person's king?
Almost. The goal is not actually to capture the king. The goal is to trap him. This is the most important concept in chess. The goal is to achieve checkmate.
I have heard that word many times. Checkmate. What does it mean exactly?
Checkmate is a situation where the opponent's king is in a position to be captured and he cannot escape. When a king is being attacked, we say he is in check. Let me show you. If I move my rook here, it is attacking your king. Your king is in check.
I see. So my king is in danger. I have to do something to get him out of check immediately on my next move, right?
Precisely. You have 3 ways to get out of check. You can move the king to a safe square. You can block the attack with another one of your pieces, or you can capture the piece that is attacking your king. If you cannot do any of those three things, then it is checkmate, and the game is over. You have lost.
So, checkmate is when the king is in check and has no legal moves to escape. That makes the king's safety the #1 priority. I understand the goal now. It is all about trapping the king.
Exactly. Now that you know the goal and how all the pieces move, there is just one special move I want to teach you today. It is called castling. It is the only time in the game you can move two pieces at once.
2 pieces at the same time? That sounds like a secret trick. How does it work?
Castling is a special move between your king and one of your rooks. If there are no pieces between your king and your rook, and if neither piece has moved yet, you can do it. You move your king 2 squares toward the rook, and then the rook jumps over the king to the square next to him.
That is interesting. So the king moves 2 squares, and the rook jumps over him. Why would you want to do that? What is the purpose of castling?
It has 2 great purposes. First, it moves your vulnerable king away from the center of the board and into a safer corner, behind a wall of pawns. Second, it brings your powerful rook out from the corner and closer to the center of the action. It is a very important defensive move.
That makes a lot of sense. Protecting the king and developing the rook at the same time. It is a very efficient move. I feel like I have learned so much already. My brain is full of new rules.
You have learned a lot. You have learned how every piece moves, the goal of the game, and even a special move. The best way to remember everything now is to actually play. Shall we try playing the first few moves of a game together?
Yes, let's do that. I am a little nervous, but excited. I am the white player, so I get to move first, right?
That is correct. White always moves first. A very common and good opening move is to move the pawn in front of your king forward 2 squares. This helps to control the center of the board, which is very important.
Okay, I will move my king's pawn forward 2 squares. That was my first official chess move. Now it is your turn. This feels very different from just talking about it.
It does, doesn't it? I will make the same move, moving my king's pawn forward 2 squares. Now it is your move again. A good next step is to develop your other pieces, like your knights. Try moving one of your knights.
Okay, I will move my knight. I remember the L shape. 2 squares forward, 1 square to the side. There. This is fascinating. I can see how you have to think many steps ahead.
You are already thinking like a chess player. That is the whole idea. You have taken your first steps into a very big and wonderful world. You did an excellent job of learning the rules today.
Thank you so much for being such a patient teacher, Mark. I feel like I actually understand the basics now. I am not intimidated anymore, just very curious. I cannot wait to play a full game with you next time.